Hello, Acwano here, and we're back for another P5X quick and efficient guide. And this time, we're talking about our favorite samurai from Persona 5, and that is Kitagawa Yusuke, aka Fox. He is coming to Persona 5X tomorrow at the time of recording. And this is just a day one guide. So again, I'm going to talk about a bunch of different things. If you need help about a specific thing, feel free to check out the timestamps, the video chapters. And yeah, feel free to skip at any time. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more content like this, and let's get right into it. First, let's talk about his own skill rotation and his skill priority when it comes to leveling him up. So this time I decided to put these together because I realized that the rotation of a character kind of like tells you why, explains why you need to prioritize certain skills over others. And so in Yusuke's case, his first skill will be used very, very rarely. For Yusuke, you want to spam his skill 3 and then skill 2 until you can just skill 3 twice in a row. You want to be able to skill 3 multiple times. And therefore, his skill 3 will be first in his priority bracket. So you want to level up his skill 3 first. And then his skill 2. His skill 2 will come second in terms of priority. You're going to use those two abilities a lot. After that, you can focus on leveling up his highlight. Again, this is all about resource management. If you have the resources, you can just level up everything. But usually, if you want to prioritize one thing, since you have a lot of characters to build, you want to prioritize on skill 3, after that skill 2, and after that the highlights, and after that, well, the thief's tactics is what they call them in global, and after that, the skill 1. Now, it's time to talk about his weapon options. And the purpose of this is to decide, is it worth it to pull for his weapon? And secondly, how different do you play him with his 5-star weapon? In Yusuke's case, it doesn't really matter if you have the weapon or not. I think the playstyle stays the same. Now, his weapon does have an insane increase in numbers when you compare it to the 4-star weapon. But is it worth it? In my opinion, absolutely not. Why? Because Yusuke, let's be honest, if you pull for Yusuke, it's probably because you love the character. I mean, look, we all love P5. Yusuke is a fucking cool character, and we're probably pulling for him because we love Fox, right? A DPS weapon is not going to be that worth in the long run, especially not someone like Fox, who is not really that future-proof. He gets, he kind of gets overshadowed very quickly, so you might want to keep your weapon pulls for something else. Like, for example, Futaba's weapon, or more importantly, Cord's weapon, stuff like that. Now, it's time to talk about party members, team composition when it comes to Yusuke. Which characters does Yusuke have the best synergy with? Now, we talked a lot about shields and how he gets buffs from shields and how he really wants shields, he wants defense and stuff like that. Now, there are two characters in the game who give shields and increase the defense of the characters, and that means they are a perfect and obvious match for Yusuke, and that is Yuki, the Light Guardian, and Puppet, our best navigator right now. So she's kind of like a no-brainer, obviously. Now, the problem with Yusuke right now is that he doesn't have a good ice team member. And without an ice team member, he cannot proc the ice harmony. So you are forced to play an ice persona on Wonder for a while because you don't really want to miss out on the 10% increased ice damage, you know what I mean? But there will be an ice defender that comes out soon, relatively soon. And his name is Cherish. Cherish, the Ice Defender, gives Yusuke the Ice Harmony buff, which then gives Wonder more flexibility in terms of personas. Cherish will go to Standard Banner after his banner, but it will take some time, especially after the news we got recently, that standard units will go to Standard Banner 6 months after. Now, if you have A1 Marian, you might not need Cherish, because she might be his best in slot in terms of sustain, but keep in mind that you will have to always use an ice persona on Wonder to get that 10% ice buff. Also, if you want to pull Cherish when he comes to Standard Banner, keep in mind that he will be the 8th Standard Banner 5-star, so the odds of getting him there are not that high. So again, I recommend pulling on his own banner if you pulled for Yusuke, which I assume you did since you're watching this video. Anyways, Now let's talk about the second part of party composition, and that is Wonder. Which personas you're gonna use on Wonder with Yusuke. We just said earlier that he doesn't have a good ice partner right now, since the only other ice characters do not really work with him, Soy and Mont. So to get the ice harmony, to give him a 10% ice boost, most of the time you are gonna want to use an ice persona on Wonder, and there are two of them that work very well with Yusuke. First of all, in the one you can get a bit earlier in the game, is Belphegor. Belphegor is perfect because he gives an AoE debuff and gives you an insane ult to use on the Yusuke team whenever Yusuke's ult is on cooldown. Now, later on, you will be able to get a very, very good, almost perfect persona to use with Yusuke, and that is King Frost. The iconic King Frost is an ice guardian persona, which gives shields and increase the defense of your allies. You see how it's perfect for Yusuke? So here, after giving shield to allies, increase the main target's defense by 25% and ice damage bonus by 15% for 2 turns. That is crazy. That is pretty much everything Yusuke needs. But if you want non-ice options, you obviously have access to Komokten. Komokten is the buffer everyone has been using recently. Another obvious choice for pretty much every single team is Dionysus. Dionysus is a crazy buffing persona, pretty much the best buffing persona in the game. So when you're gonna be high enough level to get him, definitely grab him in your Yusuke team. Whenever you're not using the ice personas, use Dionysus to buff the crit rates and the crit damage of Yusuke like crazy. Now, when it comes to revelations, you're gonna want the Opulence set with the Meditation space card. This is the best option, hands down. I'm not even gonna give you a second option because it's just so good. I mean, I guess if you don't have it on deck, you can use the Peace set for some defense, but honestly, just get this set ASAP for Fox. Now, when it comes to main stat, on his moon, you want defense. On his star, you want crit rate. And on his planet, you want defense. Now, when it comes to substats, this is very, very, very important. Yusuke wants to be fast, but he cannot afford to go for a planet speed card because it reduces his damage by a lot because he doesn't get the defense card. So you want as many speed substats. So really, hunt for those speed substats. Why? Because Fox wants to be very, very fast enough to act first. So speed is obviously his highest priority substat. After that, obviously crit rate, then defense penetration, which is called Pierce in global. After that, crit molt. And after that, defense percent, and obviously just the damage bonus one, which I think is called like attack molt. So he has a lot of substats that are good on him, but you really, really, really want that speed. Now, if you have a very, very low crit rate, you could use the growth space card instead of focus, since buffing your crit damage might not be that worth it if you're not critting often. So getting the raw ice damage bonus from growth is going to be pretty solid. Also, the game does give you golden growth cards at the beginning, so I know most of y'all that are still like low level, you're not like farming cards and stuff. You obviously have a growth card on deck, so you can just use this with the opulence set. Now, when it comes to his awareness, this is not something I really like to talk about because it really depends on your budget, and obviously going for dupes is, very predatory to engage with all the gacha stuff. So I don't really like to talk about this, but I'll just go over it quickly. His best awareness is the A6. A6 is insanely good, and after that it would be A1. So if you wanna, I recommend going for A1 and stopping if you're a big spender, and if you're not, just don't get any awareness at all. And that was it for the quick and efficient Yusuke guide for P5X. Subscribe for more guides like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.